That sound usually meant she would have to spend time cleaning up whatever mess her rascals had made. She hurried her steps. When she entered the bathroom, she looked down at the puddle of water the twins were standing in. She stared at Cammy and Sammy, drenched from head to toe. She pressed her lips together, suppressing the laugh at the sight of her soggy children. That would only encourage them. Who won the battle? They each pointed at themselves. Who started it? Aubrey asked, trying to put on her stern face.
He started it, her daughter immediately said. I dinna.
Sammy stomped his foot, and water on the floor went flying, hitting Aubrey's pants. After the serious day she'd had in court, her children's antics actually lightened her mood. She still fought her smile and remained calm. Don't move. She marched down the hall to the linen closet and grabbed several bath towels, then returned to her children, still standing where she'd left them. Even though they were twins, they were like night and day. Cammy had dark hair and eyes like Aubrey and her mother, while Sammy took after his father's side with light brown hair and hazel eyes. She gave each child a towel, mopped the floor with these, then put them in the tub. Leaning her shoulder against the door jamb with her arms crossed, she watched her 4-year-olds do the best job they could. When they finished, she stepped to the side. Put on some dry clothes, then bring the wet ones back here and place them in the tub, too. Heads down, the twins left the bathroom. After they disappeared into their bedrooms, she completed the cleanup, then headed back to the kitchen. What happened? Her mama brought the casserole dish to the table and set it down on a hot pad. The usual. No doubt the water fight started out innocently, but quickly morphed into an all-out battle. They're changing clothes. A moment later, Sammy came into the room with a ragged t-shirt on backward. She refrained from saying anything, but the sight of what he was wearing reminded her of what she'd done at lunch today. She snatched up her keys and headed for the door to the garage in the utility room. I forgot something in the trunk of my car. When she stepped into the garage, a faint, rotting odor wafted to her. She neared the large trash can and lifted the top. It was empty, because the garbage had been picked up earlier that day. But as she neared the rear of her car, the smell grew stronger. She clicked the car trunk's button on her key fob, and the lid popped up. The nauseating scent engulfed her. She looked down at a large, dead brown rat lying next to a shopping bag from the store she'd visited at lunchtime. She froze. The dead rat definitely hadn't been there earlier today. Rats and snakes were her two fears. How did it get into her trunk? When was it put there? And why? Fear blanketed her as she thought of her current trial. A top drug cartel lieutenant faced a first-degree murder charge. Texas Ranger Sean McNair entered his house and tossed his car keys into a bowl in his kitchen near the door to the garage. Another shipment of drugs had slipped through his fingers today. He felt it in his gut. His tip hadn't paid off. He was too late to stop the drugs from coming into the United States, and his recent suspicions about the Port Bliss Police Department had been confirmed. Someone had warned the Coastal Cartel about the raid. He made his way to his deck overlooking the water between the Texas mainland and South Padre Island. Gripping the railing, he leaned against it, relishing the cool, late spring breeze laced with the scent of the sea that always calmed his frustration. A seagull flew over Sean's home, heading for the island. Frustration churned his stomach. He was one of 3 people covering a large area of the southernmost tip of the state. Everything pointed to a cartel thug murdering the Texas Ranger before him, but he had no concrete evidence to prove the case. The fallen Texas Ranger had a wife and 2 babies who were left without a father. He hadn't known Samuel Madison other than by his reputation of being a good law enforcement officer. When Sean had been moved to Company D to replace the slain fellow officer, he'd met the man's wife. The look of despair in her dark brown eyes still haunted him, even after 2 years. He'd asked to be transferred, especially with the Coastal Cartel firming its base of operation in the area over the past few years. Someone in the cartel was responsible for his brother's disappearance. In his gut, he knew that Jack was dead, but he and his family needed closure on what had happened to him. Sean had slowly been digging into the organization to finally bring it down. It wouldn't return his younger brother, but if he could destroy it, the cartel henchmen wouldn't be able to tear apart another family like his had been. His mother had never recovered from Jack's tailspin into the drug world that ultimately killed him. There had been